Hey. Welcome to another episode of The Awkward Prophet. I'm your host, Ashley Witcher, and I'm just excited about today's guest. She is someone who I met years ago now. I can't even remember what year that was, but she's someone I met a few years back on Facebook. Ironically, we were in a group. I don't know if anybody, any of the listeners have heard of Zane, but she is like a best-selling erotica author. Yeah. So Kim and I met in her group. And I can't even remember what the post was about. Who knows? It was all kind of conversations going on in the group. Um, and it wasn't just only about erotica, for those of you wondering. We talked about life things, women's issues, and things like that. And so we connected in that group and eventually connected outside of the group and ended up meeting up when I moved down here in Atlanta. We met for the first time. She was having an event at a library that wasn't too far from me. And so I was like, I have to meet Kim in person because I fell in love with her online. I'm like, I got to meet, there's some people you just have to meet in person, right? And Kim was one of them. And so I drove, we met, we got our picture, you got to post it on Facebook when you meet a Facebook friend, right? So, and we've kept in contact on Facebook and all social media throughout the years. And so you guys know, if you've been tuning in for the last few weeks, I've been talking to guests about just ministry, like the non-traditional ministry, parachurches, and just, church outside of the four walls. And so I really wanted to bring Kim on here to discuss a ministry that she was leading for a few years and definitely drew my interest. And really had me excited because it was so out of the box. Something that I hadn't encountered before, but I was excited because I'm like, man, like, look at the way God uses people outside of just a traditional setting. And it just like, it showed me another aspect of his love as well, because it was like, man, like, you really don't forget about anybody because I'm like, literally, I had, like I said, never heard of the type of ministry that she had, and it was called Reflections of Love. And I'm going to let her really tell you exactly what Reflections of Love was all about. But first, Kim, I'm going to have you introduce yourself to the people.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me. And let me wipe this tear on that. God really does not forget about anybody. That just struck a chord there because he does not. My name is Kimberly Rice. The visionary of Reflections of Love. I'm originally from California. I don't know where I live these days because of my profession, so we won't get into that. However, yeah, it's a vision that the Lord gave me back in 2008, 2009, years ago. But it didn't come to life until 2013. And it first started with just a burden to begin to pray for prostitutes and women in the strip clubs and women on the street. And eventually gave me a vision to go into the strip clubs and reach out to the women working there. And at the time, I had not heard of ministries doing it. There were other ministries, I would learn later. But at the time, I did not know of any.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just really, Lord, are you sure? Like, go into the strip clubs.
Right.
But that's what he gave me. And in 2013, that's when we were actually incorporated. But we're not. We actually started going out before that. But yeah, we would go into the local strip clubs in Atlanta, really just showing the love of God and, just ask God, what are we supposed to do when we get there?
Yeah.
He gave us much favor with the managers, with owners to get in there. Because people ask, how did you get into a strip club? And that's what we do. We would just go in there and show the love of God. build relationships. There were 4 pillars of the ministry, and that was demonstrating love unconditionally, building genuine relationships, restoring hope, and identifying the God-given purpose, eventually as we walked this journey with the women.
Yeah, yeah. And so, okay, so you said that you guys would, show the love of God, love of Christ. Like, in what way? Like, what did that look like for those women?
Well, it looked a little different. And I say that because when we think of a lot of outreach ministries, oftentimes we think of sharing the gospel, keeping track, numbers, leading somebody down Romans Road. And I'm saying all this stuff. This is stuff I have been involved with.
Right,
this was really unorthodox. Showing love for us was really going into a strip club with gifts. Every month, we visited once or twice a month, maybe 3 to 5 clubs a night when we went. And we would take gift baskets, and each month we had a particular theme. So a theme may have been sunshine, and the gift basket would be of yellow things. So maybe a bag of Lay's or some yellow flip-flops, and I can't think of everything offhand, but it would just be different things. And we would go in and introduce ourselves to the dancers and take these gifts without expectation of anything.
Right.
Which was unusual in that type of environment because usually there's an exchange taking place.
Right.
A dance for money or flowers for money. I'm thinking of the people in the bathrooms who sell things. There was always an exchange.
Yeah.
And here we were just giving gifts, just saying, hey, we're thinking about you. We'd always have a message inside of the gift. And there was no pressure. And so with the gifts, we would also spend time in the clubs just talking, just really building a relationship. That's what that love looked like. It wasn't there. We weren't there with a list of a quota of how many women we needed to speak to that night or who accepted Christ that night. It was really getting to know these women who were sisters, mothers, aunties, daughters, getting to know who they are. And that takes time. So we would go month after month and really just love on them. That was the love, and if somebody wanted to call back, we'd call them when we could. We would pray in the clubs, different prayer requests. That's what love looked like for us. That was the assignment that we were given.
Yeah, yeah. And I believe just them knowing that somebody cared.
We didn't want anything. We've had people ask, how much, some of the gifts, they were nice. We had a team who would help assemble gifts every night, every month, Action Team of Atlanta. And we would have women or people in the club ask, how much for the basket or what do we owe you? We had people wanting to give their tithes to us, for the baskets or for the gifts. Yeah, it was not uncommon or somebody would try to slip us tips. And one of the rules that we had is that we would not accept tips or money from the women because that's not why we were there.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting that you said that some of them will want to pay their tithes, because you wouldn't think like that they're thinking about tithes in a strip club.
Right.
But it shows you though that just because they're in there doesn't mean that they've never heard of God, like they've never been presented with the gospel. And wow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect to hear that.
That was shocking the first time it happened. So it happened more than once.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't expect to hear that. Yeah, I do remember one December that you guys did like the fuzzy socks. I remember that. I can't even remember what the name of the theme was, but I remember you guys did you guys were gathering socks, collecting socks to take. And I thought that was so like, wow. And like I was sharing with you before we came on, that, you know, in my excitement, you know, I was sharing about your ministry to people. And you know, once I did get a like what is that? Like, you know, kind of ministry. And, you know, no, actually probably twice actually. um because, you know, people want to just make everything super religious a lot of the time. And so one of them was like, well, how are they, like, what's their plan? Like, how are they lead them? Like, it's not about going and shoving Christ in people's face. Sometimes you have to be the church and not always be the first thing you're trying to do is drag them out straight to the church. Like you said, you guys are planting seeds every month.
That's it.
You were
That's
planting
it.
seeds and coming back and watering them.
Coming back and watering them.
That's what you were doing. And just like the Bible says that God is supposed to be the one to bring the
harvest.
Yeah. So how was that? Like, were like other ministries or churches or anything, like, did you guys get any, like, how was the support with that? Was it pushback when it came to your ministry? Like, how did that look?
Everyone was always on board and understood the vision. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I'm about to say that. I was like, they just didn't like it coming from me then, because I was like, wait.
There was lots of questions, opinions.
Oh yeah.
Unsolicited advice.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is so unorthodox. People would say, why the strip club?
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the answer was because not everyone's going to come to your church. Not everyone's going to come to church.
Right.
For whatever reason, whether they've experienced church hurt, whether they just didn't grow up going to church, change of environment. I mean, when I grew up in the church and went to college and stopped going to church because there weren't any around, or I didn't know of any. I just focused on school.
Right.
You don't know, no one invited them. We don't know the reason, but there's some people, they don't want to be judged, so they'll never step into a physical church. So why not the strip club?
Right.
Oftentimes when we hear of outreach of the church, we have prison ministry. We go and feed the homeless or the unhoused. We go into the neighborhoods, we go door to door. I've done that.
Yeah.
Those are the type of ministries that we're used to in church.
Yeah.
And so who's going to the brothels? Who's going out on the track? Who's going to the crack houses? There are people there.
Yeah.
Who still need to know and be shown the love of Christ as well. What about those people?
Right.
And so, when people would ask what we do, and we'd share with them. I've had someone send me an email. Actually, it was on Facebook. I probably still have the message. To tell me that I should focus on something where people really need help, like a homeless shelter.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I should spend my time going to the homeless shelter. Why would you go to the strip club? They're choosing to be in there. And that may be true.
Yeah,
but oftentimes there may be someone in there who they're going through something and they don't know who to reach, or they think that that's it for them, or they may want to transition and they don't know how. And so the other thing was, people are like, well, are you going, how many girls did you snatch out of there? And that was not our goal. That wasn't our goal. Sorry. To go in and pull people out off the pole.
Right.
Pull them off the dance floor. In their time, and in God's time, that would happen. We couldn't go in there with a vision of what we wanted for them. We had to really follow leading of Holy Spirit, and just really just build those relationships, and tune out what people were saying, and yes, there were some people who were like, well, how effective are you if you're not going in there? Leading them down Romans Road or sharing the ABCs of salvation. How effective are you? You're just going to the strip club if you're not coming out. How many people have you saved? And So very unorthodox, very ran into a lot of people who didn't understand, but then we ran into a lot of people who did understand. I had an opportunity to work with church groups who sent out small groups from within the church to go out on outreach with us, and we would do a training. We did that. We were always wanted to make sure that there weren't people going just to see or as spectators, because it was so different, you know?
Right.
So I wanted to make sure that the heart was pure, that the intentions were good, and that they understood the vision of ROL, you know, that this wasn't their time to go and decide that they're going to go preach in the club.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine that.
Yeah, it looked very different, and it took some time for some people to understand that it is different. You know, we're not. Yeah, you probably go to the homeless shelter at your church, and you probably preach a message, and this is not that.
Right.
If God said do that, then that's one thing. That's not how He said to go about this.
Right.
It was very delicate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because like you said, I think anything else would have caused them to shut down, you know, or tell you guys can't come in here anymore. You're too aggressive.
Right.
You know, like it. Yeah.
And they affectionately called us church lady. You know, a lot of the clubs. Yeah, I still have a picture. I might have posted on Facebook in our group, but I still have a picture where we ordered food from one of the bars one night. And on our tab, they wrote for the church ladies.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, a lot of the women in there would call us, oh, the church ladies are here. They would be excited. And it was because we didn't go in there aggressively. We went in there with pure intentions of just showing love, letting them know that we're here for you.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Now, did we have people who asked to come to church eventually? Absolutely.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and you know, we've also been a part of we threw a baby shower, you know, for one of the ladies who was in transition, and her family wasn't in Georgia. They lived in another state. And so she was having this baby and was in the process of transitioning, leaving, and wanted to make sure she had a solid foundation.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we threw a baby shower for her. Another young lady was in transition and needed clothing. We collected clothing and gave it to her and her family.
Wow.
You know, to help her out. And that way she wouldn't feel the need that she had to go back to the club to get the money for that. You know, we were able to provide some things.
Yeah.
And so that was the goal. You know, they were seeing that us being a light. You know, that is what reflecting His love was.
Yeah. And you know, Jesus will meet the needs of the people.
Absolutely.
It wasn't always, get saved, or have you heard, the truth or anything. Like, it wasn't any of that. He met the needs. And then when you meet their needs and they see that you don't have any hidden agendas, then it's like, now they'll open up.
Yeah.
You know. And so I think that's just so amazing that you guys were able to go in there, and like you said, they were excited to see you come back. You know.
Yeah, we've had people. I think it was around Christmas time, and we did Toys for Tots. And so a couple of nights or a couple of weeks leading up to that, we had just taken a survey of who had kids, how many, etc. And so at night we delivered the kids. People were excited. There were tears, and there was one young lady hugging us. Wow. She was like, I usually don't like church people. I don't like the church. I don't like hugging. I don't even know why I'm hugging you guys. You know, and so to see those kind of things, you know, to have women write us notes, you know, thank you for coming in here, and I'm praying for you.
Oh, wow.
You know? Yeah. To have prayer in the strip clubs. I know we see these pictures sometimes on social media and we joke about them, but to actually have a prayer circle in a strip club and women stopping what they're doing, are running in from the floor to get into that circle, to have prayer,
Yeah.
expressing their needs and just being there and honest and trusting us with their prayer requests.
Yeah.
We didn't take that lightly.
Yeah. Because I can imagine like in that, atmosphere that you can't trust a lot of people. And
Right.
so for them to trust, open up and trust you guys with their prayer requests, or even be running to the prayer circle. And it's just like it goes to show that just because they're there and they made the choice to be there, that doesn't mean that they don't want God. That doesn't mean that they don't want different, and like you said, someone may feel like they have to do that because they need the money for whatever it is,
Right.
whatever. And so, man, that's awesome to
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah.
Like,
It was just always about just patiently walking with them on their journey.
right, right.
On their journey.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah,
key.
it's
I mean,
theirs.
because like I said, we oftentimes have a vision for other people and we see their potential and we're just ready to go in and just
Yeah.
get straight to it. Like, yeah. Now, were there people who wanted to accept Christ, over the years? And sometimes, yes. But like I said, that wasn't our goal when we went in there. I don't want to say it like that. So, what do you mean that wasn't your goal as a Christian? That
Right.
wasn't our agenda at that time. It was truly planting, watering seeds.
Yeah, yeah. And like you said, it's their journey. And it would happen in God's time. Like he knew he was, I feel like this, like your ministry was strategic. Like it's like God knew that, okay, I'm gonna send them in there every month, plant these seeds. And who knows, like you guys may have came back to water, but I'm sure there was some watering in between your visits as well that was going on outside of you guys. And
Yeah.
so who knows, like, has any of the women who transitioned out or were in the process, have they reached out to you guys, like maybe wanting to join the
That has
ministry?
happened. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it happened. And sometimes a person may not have been ready to, just because of where they were in their journey, but there were other options. You can help make gifts or
Right.
phone calls. But yeah, that has happened.
That's awesome.
Because they understand the impact, or they saw the impact, that it had on their lives. And so, yes, that has absolutely happened.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's, that speaks to, like you said, the impact. It speaks to the just the need, the want, the hunger for those types of, ministries and those types of interactions. But if everyone is frowning their face up at it and not even trying to understand it, then like you said, like who's going to go and get those people?
Right. The hunger that's in there. And it's like if that is left untouched, I mean, it's just left untouched, and we weren't only having impact on the women, it's the bouncers, the men, in the clubs eventually. What did you guys bring for gifts this month? When we did the fuzzy socks or the flip flops, we had guys who wanted the flip flops. We had bouncers who would look out for us in the parking lot, who would save us a parking spot, who remembered us as we came back every month, yeah, so to see them, like, you guys got any extra gift bags?
Look, I know they like, we want to
So,
give too.
so a little of that love was sprinkled on them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, it's a blessing. We probably did a good from 2013 to 2019. Yeah, and then there were some changes, transitions, and we're in a haven't done outreach in a few years now, especially with the pandemic going on.
Yeah.
Clubs are closed, etc. But just in a place right now, what's next? What's the next step with this?
That's awesome. So were you guys able to like connect with other ministries that were doing the same thing? Like were there like other like in other cities,
Mhm.
or did you guys ever do anything like joint activities together, or was it like how was that?
Yes. So initially, actually, before I had even known there were other ministries doing the same thing, I found one in California. I linked up with them just as one of their prayer partners.
Okay.
And then I started looking around. I saw some other ministries in Georgia or in Atlanta who
Mhm.
had been doing it. Um, then I was able to connect with one and went to their training and connected with the founder, actually Casey of Coursera. That was really kind of my first introduction. I saw that she had been doing great work in Atlanta, and so I went to one of her trainings and did call center outreach. So actually calling women who were in hotels, etc. And then eventually I connected with Strip Church Network, who was a network that connected other ministries doing strip club outreach in different cities, different states.
Wow.
Yeah, so we would connect. Then we would have gatherings every year, just to hear what the other ministries were doing. And it was good because you hear of, you know, pastors talk to other pastors who have churches and they can identify, they can relate to that. But with such a non-traditional ministry, it's like, who do you talk to? Who understands?
Right.
So to know that there were other ministries in other states and cities, being led, that God had given a similar vision to. They're able to connect and come together and understand,
Yeah.
and work through this. And
Yeah.
so became just a network of other ministries doing the same thing.
And were they doing it like pretty much the same as you guys, just like going and sewing like
Pretty much the same. Everybody had their own style and flavor, and we have the opportunity to actually assist with training some other ministries who are getting started. I know one ministry came up from Alabama to do outreach with us. They were part of Strip Church Network. And so they came out and actually went out to the club with us a couple of nights. We had another ministry who was established in a different state, and was establishing a group in Atlanta, and they went out with us before. So we did have some training opportunities with other ministries as well.
That's good. That's good. I would love to see, more ministries like this. Because as of right now, I haven't come across any more like yours, and I know they're out there,
Yeah.
but they're behind the scenes, like working at night and going into the clubs and things like that. And I know it's like you said, it's not something that just any and everybody can become a part of. Like you said, they have to have a certain heart posture to
Absolutely.
be able to go in and minister and fellowship and pray. That's not a atmosphere that everybody can go in and do it with integrity, with strength, because we never know what they may be battling with, and so it's definitely one of those things that, like you said, you may have to start helping to pack the gift bags, or you may just be on the prayer team, like the intercessory team or something, praying for you guys.
And that was needed just as much as the feet going into the club. Just the
Yeah.
hands. We would pray over the gift bags, um, yeah,
Yeah.
there was prayer going into that. We had a night dedicated to bags together, and we made time to pray over those bags. So yeah, that was definitely needed.
Definitely. And so what, okay, so I know you say you guys are moving kind of like, to the next, like, what would the next like level of this ministry look like? Like, what are you hoping to maybe see it grow into?
My ultimate goal is to eventually have a center,
Mm-hmm.
or more of a brick and mortar place. I don't know what that looks like now. What times are changing, a lot of technology,
Yeah.
but where women could come, and use that truly as an outreach center, get the resources, get the help that they need.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's counseling or spiritual guidance or, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, honestly, which way we're going right now. We had
Yeah.
that discussion with
Yeah.
somebody recently.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, ultimately, I would love to see that. I miss going in the clubs. I was very much involved in that part.
Yeah. Yeah.
I sometimes, as the visionary, we're removed from the actual footwork of things
Right.
sometimes. And no, I was very much involved in it. That was one of my favorite parts. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I would love to get back in the clubs when and if the Lord says so.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, not sure what the next step for Arla is right now, but yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely. So, man, if any of you guys that are listening today or watching, if you're looking to get into this sort of outreach, ministry outreach, if you have a heart for those that are often forgotten about, because that's pretty much like what what I thought when I first heard is like, man, I don't even like, this is not like your typical outreach. Like, like Kim brought up, it's mostly, anytime it's outreach, it's usually like feeding the poor and the hungry, and going to the prison ministries, maybe even, working with the kids that, are in like foster homes and things like that. Mostly it's almost like it's like the biblical um groups that you hear about: the widows, the fatherless, the poor. But you don't hear about, like, the ministers to those in strip clubs, or those in the crack houses, or though, even, it's just like, it's not the common go-to when you think of outreach, or when churches, usually when you hear about it. I've never heard them say like, hey, we're gonna go to the strip clubs. Like, I don't, you just don't hear that. And so most definitely, I just wanted everybody to know that this type of ministry is out there. And you just have to, now that you know about it, though, look for them. Look and see if there's one that's local to you, that you can maybe help volunteer and serve, even if it's prayer. Like she said, prayer is, first of all, prayer is important. Okay, in this ministry, and any outreach really. But like, even if you have to just serve on like the prayer intercessory team, or if you're going to help gather the gifts and stuff the bags, and prayer of the gifts and things like that, or answer the phones, anything, like, see how you can get involved, because there are groups of people out there who need to know that God has not forgotten about them, that he still loves them, no matter what situation or life circumstance they may find themselves in. Like, they are not counted out of his love. And so that is like what I really want everyone to get out of this today. Like, hey, let's start thinking about those, the least likely. Okay, because people in the strip clubs are the least likely to be thought of, right, to be considered. People in the crack houses are the least likely to be thought of and considered, right? And so now I really want to like challenge everybody, like look and see how you can be of service to a ministry like Reflections in Love of Love. Like how can you be of service if this is a ministry that had type of ministry that has been on your heart, but maybe you like just never saw it or heard of it. Like me, like I had never listened. I was like, more, does that work? So like, man, so if you've never even like, heard of it in this type of ministry, definitely look, because like she said, there's ministries like this and maybe even some churches that have, ministries that go out and do this type of outreach. And there's always a need for more hands on deck. Okay. Like I said, no matter what capacity you serve in, I'm sure there's always some place that they can find for you to serve and help and assist. So definitely, like, get on Google, search, even to Facebook, go on social media and like search in the search bar, like look up these types of ministries and see what you can find. I think you'll be surprised because, like I said, I was surprised. I was excited. Like I said, I was telling people about it. Like, hey, you ever heard of this kind of ministry? Like, man, And so, like, definitely make sure that if this is like a burden that you feel, don't disregard it because you feel like it's unorthodox or people won't accept it or nobody's ever heard of that, nobody's doing that, and I'm gonna look crazy. No, it's out there. You just have to look. So Kim, thank you so much for just sharing about your ministry. And man, it's like beautiful and like just the gentleness, like it's just like, man, it's like another level of God's love. And that, like I said, that many of us, we so busy in churching and doing doing what's acceptable that we don't even think outside the box. And so thank you for sharing this ministry. I know that it impacted so many more that you guys probably don't even know about. They probably still talk about, they probably be looking for y'all, like, where is the church ladies at? Like, waiting on you guys to come back. So, man, so
thank you for inviting me. Yeah, just I appreciate this time. It's always a blessing and a joy just to be able to talk about this side of ministry.
yeah,
And the church leaves the building. That's
right. Listen, when
and thank you for the opportunity.
definitely. Yeah. So, all right, you guys. So thank you all for listening. Be sure to catch us next week. If you have any questions, any prayer requests, you have any show ideas, or you think you might be a good guest, shoot me an email at theawkwardprophet@gmail.com. If you're not following us on Instagram, follow us on IG at awkward_prophet. And let me see, am I leaving anything out? I don't think so, but thank you again for listening. Be sure to share this with someone. And also, yeah, I love to hear your thoughts. Like share with me, like, what did you get out of today? Do you have any comments, any questions? Like I want to hear from you guys. So definitely shoot me an email or a message on Instagram and we can definitely chat. So until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.